Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Undaunted Normandy. This is a game designed by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin and published by Osprey Games. The first thing you're going to notice is this art. I mean, I love this cover. This is just absolutely awesome art. I think it really sets the tone for the game. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. June 1944. Through the D-Day landings, the Allies have seized a foothold on the beaches of Normandy. Now you must lead your troops as you push deeper into France and drive back the German forces. You will face intense resistance, machine gun fire, and mortar bombardment, but a great commander can turn even the bleakest situation to their advantage. Take charge amidst the chaos of battle, hold fast in the face of opposition, and remain undaunted. It says here, Undaunted Normandy is a campaign-driven deck-building game of tactical World War II combat. Use your cards to seize the initiative, bolster your forces, or control your troops on the battlefield. But be warned, every casualty on the field removes a card from your deck, limiting your options and leaving you at the mercy of your opponent. And the contents comes with 108 cards, 18 map tiles, 4 dice, 85 tokens, and a scenario booklet. And here's an example of the components that you're going to get inside the box. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. That is a really tight-fitting box. Well, first thing we get is an ad for London and Lost Expedition from Osprey Games. Get our scenario book, a rule book, our counters or tokens, and we get our decks of cards, our 4D10s, and our tiles, and an awesome insert. So let's set everything up and take a look inside the components. And here's a look at the tiles that come with the game. These are double-sided tiles. You get 18 of them, and I just wanted to lay them out so you can see them all at one time, at least the one side. As you see, I'm just pulling up a couple of them so you can see the back ends of them and see that there's a good bit of different terrain out there. You've got some streams and bridges, woods, bocage, fields, plenty of different terrain to keep you busy with a lot of different scenarios, not only in the game, but anything that's created after by fans or you want to create yourself, or possibly in expansions in the future. So we'll take a look at one of the decks here. This is the German deck. You'll have a German and an American deck, and each deck will have cards that represent your units. In here you have platoon sergeant, platoon guide, sniper, a couple more snipers, mortars. These are all different units that you're going to have in here. The top left number is the initiative. That will decide who goes first. And then you have your squad designation and the position and the actions that that character can do. Bunch of riflemen, scouts, and I believe scouts, if I remember correctly from listening to how this game plays, the scouts are what removes these fog of war cards from your hand. These are the kind of dead cards that just sit in your hand and you can't really use them for much of anything. I think you can use them for initiative, but other than that, they just kind of take up a spot in your deck, and what you got to do is get rid of those, winnow those out. And we'll take a look through the American deck. Pretty much the same thing as what we saw with the Germans, but obviously the art styling's different. Really love this art. This is just really cool art. And the other nice little touch is there are names at the bottom of the soldier image, so that way each of them has a little bit of individuality to them. It doesn't matter for the game, but I think it's just a nice little touch where they add this into the game and make you feel a little bit more attachment to your troops while you're playing. And here is a look at the counters that come with the game. This is something that's caused a little bit of a small bit of controversy online, but it's mainly because of the bleed on the tokens. As you can see here, the bleed goes over where the cut is for the counter. So when you cut this or punch this out, you're only going to get half a head like that, for example. So a lot of people have been complaining about how that looks. I see where they're coming from. I agree with them, but I also understand the bleed process for the publisher. It's a shame that they couldn't have figured out a way to maybe kind of drop that down just a tick more to get a little bit more of the image in. But you know, it is what it is. The images are still on the cards, and I still think they look pretty damn awesome on the counters. But counter quality is good, nice chipboard. But I think it's much ado about nothing, to be honest with you. And we'll take a look at the rulebook that comes with Undaunted Normandy. Inside you have the components listed for both players, as well as the general components that will be used for the game. Everything is nicely illustrated, so easy to follow along. You have your unit cards explained to you, the combat cards, command cards, the fog of war cards, your tokens, the target markers, spawn markers, objective markers, so on and so forth, your combat counters, and when they're ready or suppressed, the suppressed will be on the opposite side. And then you have the board tiles, which we've already looked at, and then it gives you the explanation of the setup and how to set up the tiles to create the landscape you'll be fighting on, and as well as the locations of the counters for each of the units. Then the how to play starts over the draw cards, determine initiative, player cards, fog of war, suppressed, placing combat counters, and hunker down, how all of those are handled. Then you get your actions, your support actions, combat actions, and then you have an example round of play with good illustrations to make it easier to grasp the concepts of the game. Then you get to the game end, and the platoon here, this looks like it is a historical and strategic note about the composition of the rifle platoon in World War II, and it gives you the explanation of the different units, the cards that you'll have in the game. And then there's historical note there, quick reference at the back of the book. And we'll take a look at the scenario book. Inside gives you all of the scenarios for the game, and here there's a note about campaign play. It says if you want to play campaign play, you just string multiple scenarios together using a table that is listed at the back of the book, and this way you have persistence across the scenarios, giving you that campaign feel. And it gives you the starting deck and supply, how that will be used with an example from scenario 1, so how you know how to construct your deck. And there's your scenario 1, and the starting initiative goes to the US, and then the starting cards for the US and the Germans, as well as the setup of your tiles, will be all illustrated out for you, easy to set up and get playing. Scenario 2, same thing, and it even lists the tile numbers down at the bottom of the scenarios, so that way you know which side to play, because they are double-sided tiles. And we have raid across the canal, behind enemy lines, crossing the Veer, desperate withdrawal. Got a good number of scenarios in here. We're 8, 9, we've got 10, and 11, 12 scenarios in the base game itself. So there's plenty here to explore and play, and then you have your scenario tables here for when you want to use link scenarios for campaign play. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Undaunted Normandy, a game designed by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin, and available from Osprey Games. This looks like it's a great gateway war game to use with your friends that have been kind of curious about war games, or maybe they haven't been curious, but you're trying to get them into the war game realm. Well, this is a great way to do it. It's got some Euro game mechanisms like deck building, things that they're probably already familiar with, but it mixes them into some tactical wargaming in a low complexity format, which is really great. It's low counter density, low complexity. This is definitely something that you can sit down and play very quickly with anybody and show them how much fun war games can be. And David Thompson's already shown his design chops quite well. Pavlov's House is a fantastic game. So if that is a good game and David Thompson did this one, I'm definitely interested in checking it out. Despite the fact that I don't like deck builders myself, I'm still curious to check this out. That's why I went and picked up a copy of this, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to exploring it. Hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.